Welcome back to our live BYUtv Sports web chat. We are honored to have head coach Bronco Mendenhall here, and we've actually been enjoying some good laughs here. His first impression of me, as a matter of fact, was a couple of hours ago, and I was eating snacks in the green room, so we're off to a good start.
You are now the green room snack guy. So first name, last name doesn't matter. I'm interviewing with the green room snack guy. While I was laboring away on camera, you were enjoying snacks.
And I was enjoying what you were doing on set.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to see.
That helps you a little bit in your status, but not a lot.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll try and get a few more of those out. Coach, you're now entering your 9th season, and you mentioned earlier during the state of the program, you didn't know if it was going to be 9th season. You thought maybe it would be a short tenure. Here we are. How are you feeling?
Man, I feel good. Probably the best I've ever felt. I know after 8 years now what this job is. I know what have gotten myself into. I know what I'm getting myself into, and I want to. And it doesn't mean I can't learn and grow, and I'm looking forward to that. I just am a lot more prepared now and anxious to take on even harder things than what the past 8 years have been.
Well, you're certainly going to get that with the 2013 schedule.
Thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Not to shake your confidence, but I believe Trevor Maddich said that it's crisis but opportunity, and that's the Chinese character that he brought up.
And I think that's good because that's all based on perspective. When I became the coach, I used to view some of these expectations as a burden. I now look at them as an opportunity, and so I think the schedule's the same. Yeah, it could be a burden that you have to play at Wisconsin, or you have to play at Notre Dame, or you have to play. But what about if you get to play? And just by changing one word, your mindset changes, and philosophically, but maybe internally, I just see things much differently now, and I'm anxious to play.
You're coming off a program best 4th straight bowl win, a great way to tie up the 2012 season, which had obvious ups and downs and injuries. Where is the program now going forward, and what are your expectations this season?
The program is consistent. The program is solid. The program is one of the highest and best in terms of winning football games and consistency. And yet I want more than that. And so while a given season, 8 wins might not be our mark, it's a great thing at BYU to have 8 wins not be enough, and a bowl win. Sometimes 10 or 11 hasn't been enough from expectations, but those expectations are embraced because the national championship is what we're after, and that means you win them all. In the meantime, though, if the kids are getting a great education, if they're attending class and doing really well at a B average or better, if they're serving in the community, if over 70% are serving missions, if we're going to bowl games and winning every year, if about half the team, a little bit less, are husbands or fathers, it's pretty good.
Absolutely. You've always put such an emphasis on not only succeeding on the football field, but outside, in the classroom, in the environment, in the community. How have you been so successful in instilling that into your players?
Man, it's just priorities. Football is what everybody sees, but that's just really the way to teach the rest. And ultimately, that's what I've decided I am. And I love to teach. And so that gives us a great chance to really put things in front of our players that will help them not only while they're at BYU football, but afterwards, and that's fun.
You bring back a couple of key starters, Cody Hoffman, Kyle Van Noy, just to name a couple. That's got to make you feel at least a little bit better as you approach this schedule. What were you feeling when you heard the announcement that both of them were coming back?
Man, I was excited for both of them, anxious to see what they're able to accomplish their senior year, but I also acknowledge the risk they're taking. When you come back to a college team, yeah, there's injuries that could happen. They could be in a really tough class, and there might be academic issues, social circumstances that could be difficult, but they knew all that, and we're still anxious to come back. And I think it kind of unifies us in some pretty unique ways that we've all chosen to re-enlist, so to speak. And I'm thankful that they trusted myself and the program enough, but I feel a responsibility to help them grow, progress, and even perform at a higher level than what they have before.
Now in year 3 of independence, can you sum up what has been perhaps the most beneficial part of it, and then the most challenging part of it?
Yeah, one of the cool parts is we don't answer to anybody. We do whatever we want, and I like that. The exposure, I underestimated what that would do. Only 8 teams in the world of college football have been seen more than us on national audiences, which is an amazing thing. Then we have our own TV station that adds another 55 million homes in addition to what we already talked about. that's unprecedented, and the exposure we're getting and the messaging that we're getting and the values that are being taught through BYU football through that, man, it's an amazing thing. Difficulty, the initial scheduling of late season opponents.
Yeah.
I underestimated how hard that would be, but we've turned the corner on that. Our announcement today shows that with USC in November. And this schedule shows that, and there are others coming forward. And so we had to put some strategies in place to make that happen, which just makes the season more fun at the end of the year. And so those are the two things, maybe three things that jump out.
If you want to get involved with Coach Mendenhall and ask him some questions, hashtag BYU Media Day on Twitter. Speaking
they get
of,
it?
yes,
Twitter.
On Twitter. Speaking of, you have a new account.
I do.
How did this come about, Coach?
It's revolutionary, isn't it? I've taken on a whole different kind of presence now that I'm a Twitterer. Is that a word?
A tweeter?
A tweeter?
Yeah.
I like Twitterer.
You like Twitterer better? Okay.
Tweeter doesn't. It sounds more
You heard it
feminine
here
than
first from Coach Mendenhall.
I say it's Twitterer, then the masculine, tweeter, if you're in the feminine. It's good. So the idea simply came, my kids and I, so we play that game called telephone, where you'll tell me something, and then I tell someone else something, and by the time it gets back, it's not what you said.
Yeah.
That kind of happens as you're the head coach, where you're interviewed and you say something, but it doesn't come out like you say it. So I thought this is kind of like factory direct. Why not have the message just go right from the factory, and we'll eliminate the distributors when possible. So yeah, it's fun. And two main motives. One is educational on what I think about the program and what's really going on. But the other part, I want it to be inspirational, where people can go there and learn and feel good. And so that's the direction. Not there yet, but yeah.
I know a lot of the fan base has really enjoyed getting in touch with
Other
you that
Twitterers
way.
and tweeters?
Other Twitterers and tweeters. Yeah. Again, we have clarified.
Yeah.
One is masculine, one is feminine.
I think the world has needed that definitive explanation.
Very good. Speaking of, again, Twitter, I saw you talk about that goal line stand against Boise State as being one of the most amazing defensive stances and plays that you've seen. And you got really emotional, which
surprising,
I got a kick out of. I really like that, and we're going to look at that right now.
Uh-oh.
What are you thinking as you see it's now first down and then so on and so forth?
It's the six-inch line, and it's not even a full yard, and it's one of the most prolific offenses in college football. But we had a really good idea through how hard we'd work. A little bit misaligned there, and they had a numbers advantage, and Daniel Sorensen just doesn't let the guy in. And then after all the razzle-dazzle, it's just try to quarterback sneak it. But if you look at the guys that I work so hard with and care about and love, it was just an amazing football play. And then I drive home, and the next day on Sunday, I have little neighborhood kids that are then doing what I'm doing in their front lawn, doing this thing as they're running in circles, and I'm thinking, man, I hope I look better than that. But I didn't. I looked worse, and it was fun.
Was that a premeditated celebration?
It wasn't. It was spontaneous. But now that I know if a play like that ever happens, I have a whole routine I'm going to break into. I've been practicing.
Okay, very good. We're going to watch it one more time just because it's that good.
It's something that the headset jiggling around, I think I could have been more uninhibited without that. And so the first thing I'm going to do is going to flip off the headset so I can get a little more head action into it.
Bronco Mendenhall, unfiltered on BYUtv sports.com. That's obviously one of your favorite moments from last season, if not the favorite moment. Do you have any others that stick out in your mind?
So that would be the favorite moment maybe in my coaching career. And it's interesting because what I've realized is that can happen even though you don't win. That moment was a success. And I'm working a lot harder just to enjoy different moments rather than what might happen. I loved the play of Kyle sacking the quarterback at San Diego State. The end of that game, he basically just started taking over the game. And I've never seen one player's performance turn an entire game as much as that happened. And so when he sacked the quarterback and then recovered the fumble, it was a turning point in that game. And I was like, man, that's an amazing play. But I watched him kind of become more and more determined as the game went. And I think he just chose to do it, which was fun.
To score two
defensive
defensive
cue
touchdowns.
It right up.
Isn't that amazing
That's
how it works in the
amazing.
media? You talk about something and there it is on demand.
Wow. So could I do that with any play and it could just be up there right away?
Let's not get too cavalier.
Okay, it's just testing.
Coach, I know you like to ride motorcycles. Get into some of your hobbies, and you're an avid surfer as well, which I did not know. How did you pick up those hobbies, and when did that become something that you liked?
So the surfing part, my wife, when we got married, she knew I'd always wanted to learn, and so I came home from a football camp one day, high school camp, and she had a bag packed and a plane ticket right by the front door, and I thought, okay, I've made her really mad. This is the end of our relationship. And but she sent me off to surf camp, so I lived on the beach for a week with midlife crisis guys and junior high kids and learned. And so I've been ever since. I'll be there somewhere in the water Saturday. That's 2 days from now or 3 days from now. But in the meantime, stand-up paddle, because there's no waves in Utah, but Utah Lake, usually Fridays before game day. I like that. Fly fishing, I like that. Mountain biking, I love that. Harleys, I like that. So the more I've got into coaching, the more I found I needed to do those things to remain relatively normal. And so, yeah, out of necessity.
You have to have something outside of football, right?
Got to have something. Otherwise, what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. You've had an opportunity to
sit in the green room and have snacks.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that. Yeah. I'm going to sign off of that every time I talk to you now. Now I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it was purposeful.
Okay. Yes.
We'll just wait now
look at
while
this.
He tries to regroup.
See, talk about the immediacy. Spencer Linton, green room guy.
There you go. Yeah, green room guy.
You've created something
Snacks
here.
Ought to be in parentheses.
Okay.
Green room snack guy. Green room snack guy.
You've had an opportunity to speak with LaVell Edwards on a number of occasions, and he's kind of been a mentor for you. Has he talked to you specifically about this upcoming season and the challenges that await?
No. Coach Edwards really talked to me a bunch at the early part of my career, where I think he could tell I had no idea what to do, how to do it, or how to balance it all. And I reached out to him, and he was a great mentor to me at that time. Now he swings by on occasion, but he has a special sense for when to come by. And when he does, it's I just usually unload on him, and I think that keeps him away for another year or so because I have all these questions. But he's very kind and has great wisdom, and usually just as calming. What I think are crises, he'll give me a couple stories that seemed a lot worse, and then they'll talk about how they ended, and so it's calming.
Last question for you, Coach. As you approach,
really?
Yeah,
Dang,
I know you survived.
Time flies so fast,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's because you're talking to the snacks guy.
Yeah, green room snack
guy.
The
green room snack guy. When you look at this season approaching, we've talked about expectations, but what are fans going to see week in and week out from this team uniquely?
I think they'll see a team that tries really hard, that competes fiercely, and the opponent will have a hard time wanting to play us again at the end of that game. That doesn't mean we'll win them all, but if the opponent looks beaten, even though they might have won, maybe they'll see that.
Can't wait for late August and that trip to the University of Virginia. Coach Mendenhall,
Oh, yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks. See you.
Thank you.